Wrestling Podcast. And today, we're not doing just a podcast. As we've been promising, we're actually doing a live discussion panel. And today, with us, we have Willie Williams, who's an avid wrestling fan, as the rest of us are. And we're going to have a great discussion. Introduce yourself, Willie. How are you doing today?
Good evening. My name is Willie, like she said. I've been covering wrestling for over 30 years. So I just want to thank y'all for inviting me on the opportunity, and let's have some fun with this.
We're gonna have a whole bunch of fun. This is so great. Since he is trying to fix his system, oh, he's back. Okay. Why don't you tell us some of the background, like some of the wrestling you've been involved in, like some understanding, just quick overview, because we every our viewers know what we like, what we've seen, those type of
Right.
things. How about some things about you?
Oh well, I love debating. Just to start things off, I watch a lot of ESPN, watch a lot of First Take. You know, I'm a football fan. Jets is my favorite team. I got this shirt on for good luck.
I'm not a Jets
Uh,
football.
oh, that's
Great
good. You a Jets fan too?
Raiders fan, but football.
Oh God, here we go.
No, no,
But
no, you go. But congrats.
But uh, but again, I'm just looking to have some fun with this. Like I said, I've been watching wrestling for over 30 years. My favorite wrestler ever is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Uh, Favorite stable ever is the NWO. And again, I'm looking to have some fun with this and see how we go. I know we're gonna, have some differences of opinions on certain things, but again, I'm just looking for a great discussion.
Awesome. And since we started off talking about who we like, where do you go? Since we started off already talking about like who we like and that type of thing, why don't we
Uh huh.
start asking what do you think your top five wrestlers of all time are?
Oh, that's a good question. Thanks for asking me that. So my number one wrestler of all time is Shawn Michaels. The Heartbreak Kid. I just think his body of work. I think he was the first wrestler to have all major titles. After him is Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Attitude Era, the king of the Attitude Era. That was actually my first wrestling shirt I ever had.
Haha.
Um, yeah, exactly. Number three, I have to say Bret Hart. I mean, excellence to execution. You cannot go wrong with him. The Hart Foundation. The second incarnation of the Hart Foundation when he was before DX. I think that was like legendary.
Yeah,
Um,
it really was.
number four, you cannot go no wrong with the icon Sting. Sting is a living legend in
Yes,
himself.
yes.
Again, I wish he was with WWE a little bit earlier. Uh, I did not like how WWE ended his career. You know, to have Triple H beat him, I wasn't really a fan of that. I think a lot of
I
people wasn't.
wasn't. Well,
And last but not least, knows a little controversial pick, but we only talking about wrestling. I'm gonna say Chris Benoit. Obviously, nobody's a fan of what happened, but you cannot take his credit on what he did as a wrestler in terms of like the four horsemen and as a single competitor. So to me that's my top five right there. Can't go wrong with that.
well, I absolutely agree. Benoit, we can't take away accolades. We can always say this was horrible, it's a horrible situation, but great list. I'm gonna go
Thank you.
next. I'm gonna start with Sting. He's a living legend, amazing. I did pass
Right.
that president alive and dead, but Sting, he's amazing. I've loved him since he had blonde hair and rainbow pants, and I like that's how I describe it because, like, service thing that's so iconic, and like what he grew up into. I think he kind of grew up with us in a lot of ways, and I like that. I like how he changed with how like the trends changed as we got older, and I like to also see him like on a personal level be on drugs, get off drugs, still be an amazing personal person and a good person to work with on and off drugs and like those type of things also because that's also how I judge people, especially wrestlers because we know. So that's my first one. My next one would be Randy Savage. Randy Savage is a good person all around. He's a great wrestler. I love his persona. The fact that he lived and was that, he went through so much, just means a lot to me. And then next is Scott Hall for me, because Scott Hall. Razor Ramon, I mean, I really thought he was Cuban my whole life until like got older, things like that. It's like if he can pull that off, it's so iconic, yeah.
You know what? Not to cut you off, I'm surprised they never tried to sue Vince for that.
You know,
Oh yeah.
Because
you know,
you know that was the mark off for Tony Montana. I'm surprised they didn't try. Maybe they
feels
did. You
like
know, maybe they did.
they might have tried to sue him, but Vince
Yeah.
brushed a lot of things under the rug and paid people off, so you never know. You know.
Right, right, absolutely. I know we
He
gonna get
loved
into
the
that too. That's a good
Yeah, we
breakup.
definitely get into that. My fourth one would be Mick Foley. He's hardcore legend. I also like that he's such a great person backstage. No one ever has anything bad to say about Mick Foley. You know, and he's mankind. He's dude love. He's Mick Foley. You know, he's a huge part of Attitude Era for all of us. Also, so another mean white's on here. And my last one is Steve Blackman. He doesn't get enough love, in my opinion, but he's a consummate, professional, and he was tough, and people actually scared of him. I also like the way he decided to go out, like, when he finally stopped. That was big for me too, making your own choices. So that's my list.
Now, I got a question. What thing you like? What was your best version of this thing? Mine was the Crow.
Mm, my heart, I love Surfer Sting,
Uh,
but that when he's like transitioning into Surfer Crow from that, I love that area. That
right.
was like for me, that was like his pinnacle. That
that TNA Jokers thing was pretty nice. I like that one a lot.
it was all
I
right.
wasn't really a fan of that one.
It was all right.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it just because of how absurd it was.
So on to you, Nutty Professor.
Yeah. My top five. My number one's Mick Foley, just because I think he's just the toughest guy, like throughout all of wrestling. Just the amount of he didn't need to be the most technical. He didn't need to be the most, proficient. He was just there. And I lucked out really hard. My eighth grade trip, we got to go to Hershey Park, and that was when he was on his first book tour, and he was doing a whole speaking thing there, and then like came and hung out with some of us kids afterwards. And yeah, so Mick Foley will always just be my number one in that fact of have a nice day. You know.
That's awesome.
I
um,
used to call him Nick Foley. I know it was Nick.
well, the way JR could say it sometimes, and Nick
Yeah.
Foley. But next is Terry Funk. Terry Funk is the guy of guys. He is your wrestler's favorite wrestler. The man did legitimately everything, front to back, front to back. He did everything. Name a wrestler. He probably wrestled them at some point or another. He started out as a high flying tag team wrestler. Then he went to a technical wrestler. Then he went to a crazy brawler babyface. Then he went to this Texas beat 'em up style. Then he went to doing death matches. And he was one that like he tried to retire like or had like semi-retirement matches. I remember I think one of them was a semi-retirement match or something that he had like promoted, like I'm not retiring, but I'm gonna semi-retire, and then he kept on wrestling after that. The man never stopped. He never stopped for like over 40, over almost 50 years. Um, yeah, he's insane.
True.
Next, Shawn Michaels. Yeah, you're number one, which when I first got into wrestling, he was my number one.
Right.
Yeah, when I was a kid, Heartbreak Kid was it. He was it. He had everything, and he is a wrestler that can legitimately wrestle with a paper bag, and and he's done it.
Yeah, you know what? Because my wife says it all the time with AJ Styles. I wish they would have fought against each other. Oh my
Oh my
God,
god!
that would have been amazing.
Yeah,
I want to see.
yeah, that would have been a really really good one. Yeah, the Sean just is amazing, and the way that he's running NXT, and you got to look up at everybody that he's been pushing up. Like, he knows how to curate, and foster these kids and becoming something. So he just is amazing. That next is the bad guy, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, the greatest intercontinental champion of all time. I don't care, who says what. Sure, he was only 4 times, but the way he did it, that yellow belt, like it just and the way he put over people. I mean, he put over the 1, 2, 3 kid. He put over Sean Waltman, who became the standard bearer. If you were a new wrestler in WWE, you would have to face Sean Waltman. He pushed him up. He pushed up everybody, and he's I guess the only person on my top 5 that never won a world title. But that's the thing, is what he did for the business, what he did for getting that big contract from WCW and starting the NWO, and it being his brainchild, basically, of like, what if we invade? What if we do this? Hey, I know they got money. How about you actually fucking pay us? How about you actually make sure everybody gets paid? For what he did for the business, he didn't need a world title. He has the world title of just changing the business. And Chris Benoit, that's I did wrestling as a kid. I did rec council wrestling and stuff for about like 3 years, and Chris Benoit was my inspiration into that because of how he wrestled in the ring. I was like, he wrestles like a wrestler, and he did. He was a wrestler. He was a wrestler's wrestler, and the sheer magnitude of stuff that he accomplished, WrestleMania 20, him and Eddie Guerrero both defending and winning those titles that night. That's one of the greatest moments in fucking WWE history. That match between, who's also on the list there, of Shawn Michaels and Triple H, that is 10. That is a legendary match. They pulled out all the breaks for that, and they knew that because Chris deserved it. The Pegasus Kid, man.
And you know what's so funny? Like, me and you both mentioned 2 of the greatest Canadian wrestlers ever, right? So, to be honest, anybody that was under that, that trained with Stu Hart, the great Stu Hart, could have been easily top 5. You talk about Stu Hart, Lance Storm, Chris Jericho,
Brian Pillman.
Who else am I missing? Brian Pillman. I mean, I think Edge trained with them as well.
Yeah, Edge.
So and Christian. So if you really think about it, you know what I'm saying, you could make a top 5 of just Canadian wrestlers,
people
and no
that
one can
got
really
trained by
argue.
Stu Hart.
Yeah, but in terms of his school, yeah.
Like you were almost a god, a wrestling god. Almost anybody that touched that dungeon, from like the 80s out, because they were so efficient in their training. So it's just like,
right.
Yeah.
Everybody that comes from there, like, you can't really say that any of those wrestlers that you've seen them wrestle a bad match.
Bulldog, Neidhart, the list goes on and on.
Yeah. Oh man, when she came back, like 2-3 weeks ago for the qualifying match, she was leading the match the whole time, and like the whole time I'm just like, how have they never put the world title on her?
Okay. I personally have a thing against the fact that they've been just fucking like pushing her down for like 18 years now. Like, she's an amazing wrestler, like technical, so many attributes, and just like, okay, we're just never gonna put a title on you. We're gonna put you in the running with other people that definitely get the title, but
let's call it what it is. The McMahons don't like Bret Hart. Let's call it what it is.
Oh yeah.
What it is.
That Bret Hart factor plays a role in it.
Oh yeah.
Let's call it what it is. We all saw the Hall of Fame ceremony. Bret Hart does not like Triple H. So let's call for what it is. They're not
Yeah,
gonna put a title on her because her last name is Hart. Let's
yeah.
call it what it is.
But it's, it's
Sad,
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
sad.
Not it is.
Yeah, and now they got these these mid card championships for the women's titles there. Get her up on the U.S. title
Give her
there.
something. She deserves some sort
Something,
of.
something.
Mm. But Liz Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we
that.
will.
I mean, it's adorable, but it's
Well,
enough.
we will.
So since we're on Liv Morgan, what do you guys think are the most overrated wrestlers?
Well,
Who's starting?
I'm glad when you guys start. I'm watching what
yeah.
happens.
Well,
I'll
I'm
let you
gonna
start.
start first since I'm the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
Number one, I'm gonna say Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I think Hogan was very overrated, hands down. What was his finisher? The fucking lay drop. Let's call it what the fuck it is. The lay drop, really.
Yeah.
He was overrated. Uh,
Always will be.
John, yeah, he. And hopefully we got a topic where we talking about who killed WCW because again,
Oh,
I'm actually going to surprise y'all with my answers with that one. But
Mhm.
number two, I know Shaniqua spoke to you, John Cena. I can't stand him.
you
John
can't
Cena is
stand
Okay.
him.
terrible.
Nope. Don't worry.
I just think he's overrated. I blame Vince for forcing him down everybody's throat. I know he does that with his top superstars, right? So I'm just going to correct myself.
Yeah. Once you're picked,
So yeah,
that's it.
so again, Stone Cold, I know he forces down his throat, but Stone Cold was actually a great wrestler. Undertaker, Undertaker's actually a great wrestler. And
Hmm.
so I just want to nip that in the bud right there, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a surprise one right here. Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is overrated.
Yeah.
I just think his skill set is not there. The Superman punch, a spear. I mean, when people make their moves, we got to be more creative, right? I'm not a wrestler, but I do watch it. How many people had a spear before Roman Reigns? I think the Ultimate Warrior, Bill
How many
Goldberg.
people have severe right now? Men and women.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people doing the spears. To me, that's just I'm not really a fan of that. Uh, Goldberg,
Yeah.
just I mean, you know, a lot of wrestlers had to carry him. Hulk Hogan had to carry him, even though he's number one. He's the number one overrated wrestler in my opinion. Bret
Yeah.
Hart had to carry him,
Bret Hart lost his
and
career to him, and he'll tell you about it for nine
oh
years.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And last but not least, I think The Rock is overrated. I mean, he's great on the mic, but I just, to me, it's just the same moves, man. It's the same thing. I mean, I don't know if everybody on this podcast is Arnold Schwarzenegger fans, right? It's the same thing. It's just he's a
Yeah.
different character. You know, that's how The Rock is. Like he's great on the mic, but in terms of his skill set, what the people's like, come on, man. Like, there's no way in hell you on the mat for 5 minutes for him to drop an elbow, and that's pretty much it. Even though it's entertainment, it the shit is overrated. It's overrated in my
and
opinion.
and he
Of them, he's
started
an
that and
overrated
he
wrestler.
started that move as a joke.
As a
He
joke.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
started the move as a
And
joke,
it's still a joke.
yeah,
and
yeah,
Still a joke.
and it just amplified from there. And he
yeah,
is someone that, like, first of all, Young Rock was stupid ass show.
mm,
But I watched some of it because, especially when it got to around the time of the Attitude Era, I'm like, he better include Mick Foley into there,
yeah,
and they don't really shoe in how much
yeah,
Mick Foley carried The Rock. Without
yeah.
Mick Foley, The Rock would be nowhere near as big as he was.
And the thing that me and my wife argues about this all the time is the simple fact is he don't give credit to Stone Cold. When is we going to get a podcast with both of them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We can
Yeah.
make time for Kevin Hart. We can make time for all these other entertainers. But Stone Cold was the one that came out and said he wanted to work with The Rock. He put The Rock over. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want
yeah,
nobody to think that has nothing to do with me rating him that low as him
yeah,
being an overrated, wrestler. But him as a person, he's not the same. And there's also rumors though too that he stole what
Stone Cold
the
also knows what's good for business.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
And the rock bottom, he stole that from Booker T. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
He stole that from Booker
Yep.
T and did some shit over that. So again, to me, he's overrated. So I mean that's my top five overrated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Mine pretty much align with yours. So
that's why.
you kind of yeah. Yeah, geez. I remember The Rock just especially when because one thing of growing up in the era that it did, like I'm 38 and I had a solid 4 years there of where the Baltimore Arena would have WCW and WWF, at both times. And I was very privileged to get to go to a couple matches a year. And I just remember seeing him back when he was, just Rocky Maivia. And, just seeing him try his hardest and get nowhere. I like specifically remember seeing him as a kid and just being like, I don't like this guy. Like, nobody did. Like, that's a childhood memory of mine, being like, oh, this guy's not that good. But the Hogan takes the cake when it comes to a lot of that, man, because however great The Rock isn't in the ring, because he does run a small move set, to Hulk Hogan's is even smaller.
Yeah.
I watched when we get to the downfall of WCW, I watched what I feel is the most quintessential night of any wrestling, really. January 4th, 1999, the finger poke of doom and Mankind's win.
I had to do a lot of flash back and forth with that one. Yeah.
That happened the same night.
Uh-huh.
And the finger poke of doom, I feel, represents everything that is Hulk Hogan. Everything in a nutshell is the finger poke of doom. I am this cheapskate that will play backstage politics all the live long day, to the point that I will have my buddy Kevin Nash be okay with booking himself, because I got the creative contract to get finger poked by me and lose the title. After we just days ago did that, like it did the end of Goldberg's. It's so stupid. We'll get into that more later. But the finger poke of doom encompasses everything that is shitty about Hulk Hogan. Fuck him. He's racist. If you guys should definitely listen to that AI song, that AI theme song. Yeah, it's fucking hysterical. Keep doing your buddy's wife. Terrible. And shout out to Benjamin Shelton while I'm at it. If we're bringing up Hulk Hogan, let's bring up Benjamin Shelton.
Dragged him properly, and
God bless that man. He's a great wrestler. He's everything that Hulk Hogan isn't. God bless Benjamin Shelton.
He's honest, he's truthful, he helps people out, and he's a wrestler.
Yeah. Gosh. My favorite worst wrestler of all time is Barry Horowitz. Who, for only those who are in the know, he was the mat guy. He was the jobber to the stars. If you needed somebody to go down in a match, it was Barry Horowitz, and he was shitty in the ring. He had a shitty Jewish gimmick at one point, and and just bless him. So he's my token one. In that fact, yeah, Goldberg. How many matches? how many matches just like it just got inflated to where like I just even remember as a kid, like there's no way he wrestled that many matches
Well,
in
he fought
between
like
in between last week and today.
they inflated the number. They say he was like what 170 or or some shit like that before he
Yeah,
lost.
yeah. Which eventually it did catch up because they were getting caught on because luckily the internet had caught on at that point too, and people were calling him out.
They're still trying to lie about it though. Like they were talking about him recently on like one of the WWE channels, and they lied about it again. I was like, wait, hold on. Thought we went to this late 1999. Like I hate y'all.
Yeah.
So they'll never stop. Like they'll never stop.
Which if he is to have this like retirement match or whatever that he's supposed to have, I do hope it's with Gunther, and I hope he fucking goes on him like how he went on Sami Zayn when he lost his Intercontinental title. I was sitting right there at WrestleMania 40, and I remember sitting up there, and I could hear that man chop the ever-living shit out of Sami Zayn's chest, and then proceeded to beat the piss out of him. And I hope he does the same goddamn thing to Goldberg.
Legitimate. I understand.
And then John Cena. Thing is I like Peacemaker. I like that show. I think it's funny. That is the extent of my like for John Cena, because God bless him for the actual hero character that he had been playing. I mean, the guy has the most Make-A-Wish Foundation visits. That like. I won't knock the actual charity and like integrity that they have for that character, but he is the prime example right now, though, of what is wrong with wrestling. And I don't know if it's just like him just being like, okay, I got this shit thing, handed to me. They told me, all right, you're gonna be a heel now, and okay, well, what's gonna be my premise? I'm gonna ruin wrestling. Okay, how are you going to ruin wrestling? Well, I'm going to put on shitty match after shitty match, and I'm going to sound like a bitchy ex-girlfriend every week.
I don't understand how you do like the same speech in a different way week after week. Like we don't know. Like we know we can. Do they know we can hear this?
Yeah.
But like I said in the beginning, Vince just forced them down everybody's throat. That's the problem.
But even now, he's still here. He's still doing this. Like he's doing this run. It's literally the same speech every time.
So if you think about it, right, like you can pretty much say he's the greatest WWE wrestler ever. He's the most marketable, right? Because if you look at it's been 40 WrestleManias, right? Mm-hmm. He's been on the cover page, right? If you go through like the posters, he's been on 23 of them.
Yeah.
So in Vince's eyes, he's the most marketable ever. That's why they say he's the greatest of all time. I don't believe that. And, obviously we don't believe that, but that's what Vince thinks.
Yeah. And you can kind of just tell the lack of control when it comes to everything here, because first of all, just creative wise, the whole reason why he even turned heel is because Cody Rhodes didn't want to,
right?
And they didn't want him to turn heel. And frankly, like me and her talk about it all the time. We would love for Cody to turn heel, but at the right time, at the right goddamn time. And so now we get this, and it's like the lack of creative direction in that fact of what are we gonna do? We're just gonna have John Cena be a dick for the next year. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have him be a dick for the next year. Why? Because The Rock said so. Because The Rock said so.
Ever.
He doesn't give a shit. He's on his way out. So just be like, fine, let me sound like the bitchy ex-girlfriend. and I'll go and wrestle intentionally bad matches when I'm already not that great at wrestling as is.
That's just it. Like you're already not
And
good. Get worse.
yeah, and so it's just marketing. He is the most marketable like of all time. In that fact, he's got the championship in that fact too, and I frankly think that they only put it on him too, so that way that Ric Flair didn't have um that anymore. Like,
But you know what's so crazy though, right? Triple H think of like Ric Flair as his idol, so I was kind of surprised that he had John Cena beat that record. But that's just WWE championships. That's not
yeah,
overall.
Yep.
oh yeah,
That's the twist. That's just
yeah,
WWE championships, not overall. So
yeah,
that's something he can't take away from Rick.
yeah, and and it's just there's just a lot to it that I just feel there's such a lack of direction going on with TKO, which is kind of what we're going into next.
And you know
Um,
what? I blame Stone Cold and I blame The Rock. I blame Stone Cold for this because if he did not get injured, John Cena wouldn't have been this big. It's kind of like what people say about Jay-Z, Biggie Smalls, Tupac Shakur, right? He wouldn't
yeah,
have been that big. But if Stone Cold did not have that neck injury, John Cena wouldn't have been that big. If Rock did not go to Hollywood to pursue opportunities, he wouldn't have been that big. It's just a what
yep,
if. And
yep,
Vince had to find someone else to lead that torch, to carry the
yep,
torch. Excuse me.
yep, and he found it, and it's John Cena.
Instead,
With
Stephanie McMahon played a role in it. They was going to fire him, and you know what? It's, they gave him another gimmick, and that was it.
yeah, no, it's gonna be my guy. It's gotta
Yeah,
be him. It's gotta be He's gonna be 17 times.
They did that with so many people over time. It's just like again, again, Vince shoving someone else down your throat. You can't do it
Well,
anymore.
the prime example right now of the loss of Vince's touch is Austin Theory.
right.
Yeah, Austin Theory was the last Vince poster boy.
Right.
Um, and he even beat John Cena.
Yeah,
Which
Cena
is
put him on.
a whole nother thing too, is that up until now, like John Cena hadn't won a singles match in like 3.5 years. he had the worst fucking match ever with Solo Sikoa at Crown Jewel. That match, was it Crown Jewel or WrestleMania? No, yeah, WrestleMania was that was Austin Theory. No, yeah, they fought at Crown Jewel, and that was one of the worst matches ever. Fuck John Cena.
All right, so I'm gonna go through my list. My list
Yeah,
slightly different, overlaps a lot, a little different. All right, Hulk Hogan.
yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for his contracts, he wouldn't be shit. No one talks about how his whole persona was taken from another wrestler,
Yeah, yeah.
and
That
like,
was on Dark Side of the Ring like 2 weeks ago. Yep.
oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it didn't happen. Like,
Yep.
um, um, Badass Billy Gunn also stole a little bit of his persona from him, but at least he's not an asshole. But like, there's the things about like, and he doesn't give any credit to anyone, even for things like that. And he looks like a paper bag right now, and and he's racist, and I haven't liked him in years anyway. His little like last time I liked Hogan, he was still pushing the vitamins, brother. So I didn't like the NWO thing. To me, he didn't even have a place there. To me, he ruined that whole thing. It could have been so much more amazing if he hadn't used his contract to break in there. But
There's so much to him. Like that's the really crappy part about him, is that he is such a central figure. And we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't know the behind the scenes of anything. It's that we were just goddamn kids. taking
no,
our
that's what I'm
vitamins.
saying. Now that we're older.
You know what's so crazy? Ric Flair, I think he was on the Tonight Show. This was like 20 years ago, and I
Mhm.
forgot which Tonight Show he was on. But he always said, I'm a better wrestler. I'm a better wrestler than Hogan, but Hogan is the more popular wrestler.
Yeah,
If you, yeah, which is true.
yeah,
Yeah,
It's just popularity. That's all it is at this point. You
yeah.
can sell merchandise.
because they're
Like
old.
let's go what it is. I never seen nobody with like a Ric Flair action figure before. You know what I'm saying? You know, maybe in Charlotte, but I never, while I was
Yeah.
in elementary school, I never
Even
seen
Well,
nobody
back in
with a Ric Flair
the Big
action
Jey
Brother,
figure.
like
Uso is suffering that right. Jey Uso is suffering that right now, to where it's
Yeah,
like he's not the greatest in the ring, but god
yeah,
damn it, if Yeet is not over like a motherfucker.
yeah. Like I had WCW Revenge, I had WWE 2K. I never seen no one in my household played with Ric Flair. Like, let's
I'm about to say,
call
nobody
it.
told me that rich.
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, yeah. He was a persona.
Yeah,
Nobody never played with no Ric Flair, man. But go ahead.
nope, nope. My next one's gonna be JBL. JBL
Oh,
doesn't
Ooh,
hear enough shit about
ooh.
that horrible fucking person he is. Um, he was a good wrestler. He was an amazing wrestler. His personas are crap. The only one I ever liked was Bradshaw. It's only because he was with Ron Simmons for
yeah,
I mean,
acolytes
All
were
right.
great.
I was
yeah,
about to question you on that. Good one.
but that's the only way he ever pulled my attention. He was bland. He was boring. His mic skills continuously sucked. I think when he became JBL, they got worse and worse and worse. But that's because he was more himself and he was dumbass. He didn't have anyone to bounce off of. Obviously, we know he was a bully and just so many bad things. JBL, I'm just like, I hate you as a person. So if I can respect you as a person, I'm not gonna like you as a wrestler. Um, so that's my number two.
That's a really good pick. I can add to that pick too. He is the entire reason for the Brawl for All. Do you remember the Brawl for All? Vince
Yeah, I remember.
Russo
No,
Vince Russo started the Brawl for All intentionally because he would get picked on by Bradshaw. And he did it for the pure intention of making sure that Bradshaw got knocked out. And apparently, once he got knocked out in one match, he stopped watching them after that. Like, that's all
no,
he wanted to do.
but Bro for all was predetermined too by Vince.
The Brawl for All, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that like if he's in all right, if he's in Vince ear, right? He could have just said, you know what, do a Hell in a Cell with the Undertaker, and that would have been the ultimate payback. Not no bro for all shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't thinking that way because they were dumbasses. So a bunch of dumbasses.
Yeah,
Especially Russo.
but I got some shit from Vince Russo too when we get to that topic.
Vince Russo would be this list. We're talking about wrestlers right now. All right, next
Yeah,
one is
I know, but when we get to that topic,
my next one is The Miz. I fucking can't stand The Miz.
Yeah.
The
what was
Miz,
the better Miz, Real World Miz or the WWE Miz?
the Real World Miz, of course, and
Yeah.
I mean, but and he had so much potential, but they've just worn out the character now. He's like a parody of himself in a way, and he's a fucking joke. His wrestling skills could have been amazing. I don't even know how he wrestles. He doesn't wrestle that much anymore, and I would like him to shut up now. He wasn't the best wrestler when he was out there. He never looked like a number one guy to me. Although they did try to push him in that direction, which also pissed me off because he was all in by face we freaked out there. It's like, why are you here? You're not, you're not amazing. There's nothing about you I would like to actually see. Nothing I would like to follow. And all these years later, surprise, I still don't want to. Every time I see his face, I'm like, oh, you're still here? You like that? He's like that drunk guy at the end of the party, just keeps talking, he won't go away, doesn't get the hint. That's what I feel like the Miz is.
And they sadly have paired him up with Carmelo Hayes. That's just gonna keep him exactly where he's at, right there in the early mid card. Not even mid card, early mid card.
Yeah, I don't. He's just gonna be same forever until they like fire him, like they did some other guys. Maybe if they gave him different persona, maybe I don't know what's going on with him. Did he want to be different? I don't know what's creative doing. Why would creative keep that for so long? So many questions I have, and I shouldn't have questions about a wrestler. Just wrestle, and I should like your persona, and you suck. You know. So, and that brings me to Logan Paul.
Mm.
I don't like the Paul family, and I ain't afraid to say it. They are fucking rednecks. I'm sorry. That was kind of rude. They weren't shit and decided to become famous by making fun of people and making horrible YouTube videos, and then they became disliked. And then Logan Paul used that to train for wrestling and used the fact that he was disliked to become a famous wrestler. No, he's literally getting booed because people don't like him. Now, if people just can become famous wrestlers off of who doesn't like them, I'm sure that we can have a lot of more wrestlers. Like the Ultimate Warrior would have been number one if we're just going on who isn't liked. You know, you can't just win off being number one. And the fact that we as a society just like accept that we don't like him, yay, that makes you. It doesn't make you a heel that we don't like you. We just don't like you. You know, like you're not likable. Whether face or a heel, you just still wouldn't be likable. So I don't understand why the WWE tends to want to keep moving him up to places like, yeah, you can do splits, so can I, sweetheart. Like he's athletic. Good job. You do, you have good, matches. You don't have a lot of them. I need to see we need to see you more. We haven't seen enough of you to see you moving up like you should, or even getting to the level he is. Especially because it's based on him just not being a likable person. Why do you push someone for not being a likable person? He actually has to play a role. Like he's not playing a heel. People just don't like him for real. He's done fucked up things in different countries, been banned from different countries. He said horrible things. This people just don't like him, and they decide to make that a persona. And I'm so confused. I'm so confused. Like he doesn't have a wide variety of matches. Yeah, like his skill set. Where is it? Do you guys know where it is? I've seen good things from him. I haven't seen a wide variety of skill sets or something like the whole number one thing. Where are you going? Pushing him up. He doesn't have a history except people not liking him online. Great.
Yeah.
I have a history of people not liking me on Facebook with my fucking trophy WWE. I just don't get it, and I don't get why he's even there anymore. Like he doesn't wrestle.
Money.
Yeah, great money, cool. Like everyone has money in this like whole situation besides the viewers.
Not
So
justifying it, but just saying what it is. Money.
and you just generally and then you like same thing with JBL. If you're just not a likable person, I don't want to fucking see you. Cause I want to see someone on TV. Like I love the whole kayfabe thing. I love thinking like, oh, this person this way, but they're really not that way. I don't think you're a bad guy, but then you actually be a shit person in real life. I want to be able to control it.
And he's not a good heel either. Like his whole shit with AJ made him look like a bitch. But
that was a travesty. To do that at WrestleMania was a definitely travesty.
Every time
Definitely.
they come out, it's just because we're gonna get we're gonna get that heat from the people, and it's just people booing him because they don't like him. It's not because of skill.
You know what? I give it about 3 more WrestleManias. He's going to headline a WrestleMania. I say in like 3 years. I'm giving it 3 years. He's going to headline a WrestleMania, and that's the way we going into.
Fucking what's his name? Kenny Omega predicted the same thing. He said it'll be Logan Paul versus Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where we are as like a society and wrestling, which is supposed to be separate from society as it always has been. But here we go. Go. I mean, you guys went through this. I really when I was younger, I used to be like, ew, this is like the fake Stone Cold.
Yeah, everybody thought that. Yep.
No, I mean, like as I got older, I really feel like he was like the dollar store version of the Stone Cold. Like, like, what are you doing? And his moves will again. The list is like this big with the moves, and I didn't get what was the persona. What was the thing with Goldberg? Just him screaming, "Who's next?" Like,
Yeah. But I think
they intentionally kept him without a persona.
But I think what played the role. I think what played the role in it was the simple fact he played for the Falcons and WCW based out of Atlanta. So if you connected, somebody probably knew someone, and that probably provoked them to move up.
Sting and Lex Luger discovered him. It was Sting.
Really?
It was Sting that they went to the same gym and he talked to him.
Yeah, but I know Goldberg played in the NFL.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that definitely had a part to do with
Yeah,
it.
he played in the
That
NFL,
definitely
so I'm
had a
saying
part to do with it.
that could have played, that kind of definitely could have played a role in it too to get that big push he got.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And especially once they like, I remember the early Goldberg shit. They were just taking a risk on it, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of I remember that first time Mean Gene tried to talk to him, and he just walked off, and it's just like, okay, who's
Yeah,
this guy? But I mean, that's the thing. They knew how to play his lack of character.
right.
They knew how to play his lack of character, and the fact that he could come in just squash match after squash match after squash match after squash match.
And the last one for me is Lex Luger. Why
Oh,
do people say Lex Luger?
well, I want to hear this one. Oh, I want to hear this one. Go ahead.
Lex Luger didn't do anything, and he got a bust. But he never did anything. Like he was a persona that they wanted to push, but he wasn't the best wrestler. And even if I go back and like look at stuff, he wasn't a great wrestler. They wanted to push the physique or
He
anything,
wasn't. He wasn't.
but
The whole
he was
narcissist persona.
they gave him a bust and became #1, but he wasn't shit before that. Really, he was
Oh,
a
but
great people in WCW, but he wasn't like the
he
best.
was a Vince McMahon guy too, and they found him in the fucking gym.
Vince McMahon guy. That's why.
yeah, the world bodybuilding championship, yeah, or federation. But
Yeah.
how much do you blame Vince or you blame Eric Bischoff? Because if you already have your guy in place, and Vince and Eric Bischoff was the ones that kind of wanted to up their face. Vince tried to push Eric Bischoff. No, Vince tried to push Lex Luger, excuse me, but he couldn't.
Oh
He
yeah,
felt like he was, but he had so many
Bischoff
people.
did.
You had Undertaker, you had Bret Hart. Let's call it what it is. He had to quit WWF. He went to WCW. Guess what? He dealing with Hogan. I think it was there for him to be the face.
I blame Lex Luger for existing in wrestling. That would solve
Oh,
all
wow.
the problems.
That's too deep.
Well, he's another Sting discovery. Sting met him in the gym. Like that's the thing. It's Sting. Like I think it's Lex Luger, Goldberg, and there's like three others. There's like three other wrestlers that he met in the gym that became wrestlers.
And Sting can't find good wrestlers. That says to me. That's upsetting to me. That's all I think about that.
Well, that was an interesting top five. I wasn't expecting Lex Luger.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Can you tell me something really memorable about him besides the bus? What can you remember that's super memorable about him in wrestling in general?
Well, he beat the shit out of Hogan. We don't forget. We forget that, right? Back in '97.
No, we didn't forget
He
that.
literally beat the shit out of Hogan.
I don't think it was like an amazing match. First of all, it's predetermined.
What's an amazing match? Are you crazy?
I don't.
He beat the shit out of Hogan twice. And the second time, remember the fake Sting hit him in the back of the head with a fucking bat.
I do remember that. Yeah.
So you come on now, but I mean, listen, that's your opinion, but I'm not gonna sit there and say the man was trash.
I'm not gonna say he's again. I just think he's overrated. That's the only thing. None of the people on my list were like the worst people. Were just overrated. Except Logan Paul. He's the worst person in the world.
I don't even think he's a wrestler. I just think he's playing a role. It's called what it is. Nobody takes him and his brother seriously.
Nope.
He is
it's just a fucking joke. Like that's all it is. It's a joke.
But my thing is a joke where other people aspire to be these things. They work their entire lives. You're joking around playing here because you got money? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I got problems with that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That kind of leads into where we were going anyways, into TKO and the shit. The shit that they're pulling.
Well, I think Vince should have never sold WWE. That's I think it looked good on paper, but now it's trending downward. Right now, it's some improvements that I see that they did some improvements. Right, but I think what TKO problem is in terms of like the WWE, they should just let Triple H be in charge of the booking. Just let him do his thing. That's it. We bring up Logan Paul. I don't think that's too much Triple H. I think that's more off the top at TKO. I think they are the ones that's telling Triple H, you know what? Push
Triple H
over
went
Logan
on to his
Paul.
podcast and was the
Right,
one already
right,
like telling him, "I'm giving you a push." Like
right, right. So,
he is the
again,
one kind of
that
behind
might
his
have came
push.
from the board of directors at TKO,
Yeah,
but I think that was a travesty and a disgrace to have Logan Paul beat the great AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
absolutely.
That was a travesty.
Yeah,
And I don't think that was Triple H at all. Uh, we hear this thing about, you know, WrestleMania, right? WrestleMania is supposed to be in New Orleans. Guess what? They're going back to Vegas, right?
too bad.
Vegas, yeah, so it's an up and coming city. I get it, but I don't think Las Vegas is that big part of a wrestling town. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
It's
I could be corrected. Um,
it's about the money.
yeah, it's
The
about the money, right? So
money
that's
that
what,
they drew in.
yeah. So that's what TKO is about. It's more Hollywood. I watch Pat McAfee every day that I'm off, even before I go to work. Uh, I think that's the TKO decision too. Who I forgot his name. He's on NXT. He was supposed to be the commentator of Raw, but they said he wasn't too Hollywood enough. That's why they wanted Pat McAfee to stay on Raw. So
Mm.
to me, I think they the ones. I think they messing up WWE. Can Vince buy back WWE? He can't personally. There's a lot of stuff going on with the sex trafficking, so ain't nobody gonna try to attach their name to it. It's some current wrestlers that are happy that Vince is gone, but in terms of the product, I think it got worse when Vince left. Um,
Absolutely.
I think it got worse when he left.
I I think we're
I
starting to
think
see the
Triple
effects
H.
of it now.
I believe
Yep.
Triple H days are numbered. I really do believe. Hopefully, I'm wrong, but I think his days is numbered because WrestleMania it was a travesty. I hate to say it. Shit was a
Over in
joke.
this.
He's going to be the one that takes the blame. You know what I'm saying? He's the chief contact officer, so he's going to take the blame.
Mhm.
But we bring up John Cena, right? That whole storyline made no sense. You had The Rock come out, beat the shit out of Cody Rhodes. He's nowhere to be found. So what's the
Yep,
sense of bringing out The Rock? They needed
has
The
not been
Rock.
brought up since.
They needed The Rock to sell tickets. So again, they're going to use Triple H as a scapegoat with shit don't go. I can tell you this right now. If SummerSlam is a flop, and I hope it's not because it's in MetLife, I'll plan to be there. I'm letting you know right now, it may be some changes. I'm telling you, Triple H ain't gonna be involved much longer. I'm telling you that.
I that when Vince sold it, he expected to like Stephanie and Triple H to hold the reins until he got back with the company. I don't think he anticipated how much TKO would take over or how much they would allow TKO to take over
Right.
when he sold it. I
Hmm.
think he thought all this stuff would be, cleaned up soon. I'll just pay this off. I really think he thought that. That's what he's been doing since, like, he's covered up murders. So, hello.
Hmm.
I think he thought, yeah, this would be easier to sweep under the rug. I don't think he thought
And
he'd
and
get
and,
this
and
far.
not to cut you off too. I'm sorry, but we all know the story of Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and The Rock, right? We all know the story. I don't need to revisit it. Now, him being
Mhm.
on the board, that's like the ultimate payback now.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yep.
This is the ultimate payback. I'm on the board, so you know what? All the stuff that you was doing to me, you and your boy, I'm gonna make your life a living hell. So
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
Rock he's getting the last laugh for all this shit because I think The Rock he wants to take over WWE and do it his way, but Triple H is in the
Well,
way.
I think,
Yeah.
of course, he has his own vision of how things should be done. And of
Right,
course, he wants to make it safe for his family, like Triple H did for his boys with DX and all that.
right.
like Kevin Nash running out, all that. I mean, I love all of them. You know, he's like Kevin Nash is amazing, but I think The Rock's trying to do that on his side because he didn't get to see it, and they were bullies. So, blah blah. We know all the real stories from back in the day, locker room shit. So I think it's a lot of payback involved with everything, and I don't know if they're paying attention to how that's affecting the company.
I think they're just
Like,
looking at dollar signs.
no, it is. It
However
is.
critically we can go at it. He already said just a month ago, just like what the internet says is not what I see every night. What Triple H sees is he could see all the criticisms and everything on there. He's not going to ultimately give a shit because he sees what comes there every night and what he orchestrates.
He's a lying motherfucker. We were making fun of him for being racist, and magically, Shawn Michaels hanging out with the sexy red, and there's black people all over the card now.
Yeah,
watch it, but literally the things that people coming down on you for months, you changed it up. Let's stop lying. You got to lie, Chris. You got to lie.
Who you talking about? Triple H?
Yeah.
I never heard that, but that's
You've been
interesting.
criticized for like half a year about his like not putting black people in the car and a whole bunch of stuff. It's been all over the internet.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and like they were dragging him all over every social media.
But I know he looked out for like Sasha Banks. He definitely looked out for the minorities. So that's why I'm kind of surprised. Like people was like actually saying that.
I mean, he looked out for a few people that he liked. I don't know if he's looking out for minorities, who say it that way. Again, I'm
Yeah,
not saying I'm immigration. I don't care about stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. Me neither.
we got this is things that we observe. Also, we have to say all of this that we're saying is our opinions. None of this stuff is taken from other people.
Right.
Disclaimer: okay, if anyone doesn't agree with anything, we said it, we thought it. Sorry, but
yeah, it's
Yeah,
our
that's true.
opinion. Yeah, disclaimer. Fuck you.
Okay, that way. That's how we're doing it tonight. But yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it. Like, just it's not everybody sees the same things. Not everybody sees things the same way, and I think it's a lot
Right.
of when people coming down on them, I'm just like, oh shit. I just
Well,
like
it's starting to now show in the ratings because they've been sharing the ratings of Netflix, and
Yeah.
they opened up with 5.9 million and now they're down to 2.7 million.
we
That
have
Right.
a
was the
comment.
last 2 weeks.
We have
That
a
was the
comment
last
from
2 weeks, which it's like almost a million drop off since almost 1.5 million drop off since WrestleMania.
I'm listen. It's all about the money, like you said, but I just don't.
from one of our
Raw being
viewers.
on Netflix doesn't even sound right.
Oh no. First, no, it doesn't.
It
But we
doesn't
have a
sound
viewer
right
comment.
whatsoever.
Our viewer commented. He said he never agreed with the racist Triple H thing, because he heard it. But he said that is the reason why Lashley MVP left.
Mm.
So
That one I can definitely see, especially with the last run of matches that Bobby Lashley went through, which I got to high five him at WrestleMania and tell him my name. That was fun.
yay.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley's awesome.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley is the truth.
Yeah,
He's amazing.
My favorite memory of Bobby Lashley at WWE. You remember when they had Raw Underground with Shane?
yeah,
Yeah, that was like.
Yeah.
He beat up who he beat up? He beat up Dolph Ziggler. He beat the
yeah,
shit out of Dolph Ziggler. That was the funniest shit, man. I always joke on Dolph Ziggler. He's a fake Shawn Michaels, like he is. No, he's the fake badass Billy Gunn, man. I always
yeah,
call him that. Always call him that.
yeah. That's why he's down in TNA with his brother.
But technically WWE, they in a partnership, so he's technically back with WWE.
Yeah, to a degree. To a degree. Put him on the lower ranks.
Yeah.
And put him on the lower ranks. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot, just going on just with the overall creative direction. Now the year up until the WrestleMania 40 there, that was one of the best years in wrestling there, because they were working on all cylinders for that build up all year. They had everybody working pretty 100% on the roster, but then after 40, that's when it starts to trickle down on stuff, and I really noticed it by like War Games. Like I feel by like War Games, that's when I started seeing the cracks of like things, and the cracks in creative, and started to see in the break and continuity of things, and just the lack of pushes in certain areas and stuff. I feel the only person in the entire WWE roster that has a clue as to what's going on and has an idea to save it is Karrion Kross. That man's been speaking nothing but goddamn truth. But he also seems to be the only one calling out on the roster how bullshit things are getting set. Like, we have AJ Styles getting ready to slate up against Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental title. Why is AJ Styles in the Intercontinental title fucking like matchup? Like, why did we not get AJ Styles versus Jey Uso? I would have much rather seen that match.
Why didn't we get a heel turn for Cena 20 years ago? Shit don't make no sense.
Yeah, and just organically, it make it with reason. There's been no real reason or rhyme behind it.
But you know what? I think when they negotiate their contract, and again, I'm not in the room with them when they sign the contract, obviously, but I think it's a stipulation on how many times they probably can win the title versus that. I mean, I think that's the next stipulation.
Probably.
So probably AJ Styles probably maxed out. You know what? You only had the titles these amount of times unless you renegotiate a contract. And I could be wrong, but it really,
and he
but
seems
it
to
does
be
go around
on
merchandise selling too.
And he seems to be half on his way out too, and that's why I'm just kind of like, what?
Yeah, he's on his way out.
Yeah, and why are they pairing him up with these Meg Carters on his way out? It just makes no sense. And then over on the SmackDown brand, really they have everybody that's in the mid card within this next few months should all be going for the same title that John Cena is going to be holding on to. Like, that's the thing. They've completely devalued the championship. Now the only one that matters is the heavyweight, because we all know no matter what's going to happen, they're not going to just take it off of John anytime soon. And
I think he's going to retire world champion. I really do believe that.
Yeah, that's kind of what they already said.
I think he's going to retire world champion.
That looks like going towards that. It's stupid.
Because, but you know what? Anything's possible because his last match is in Boston. If Bret Hart got screwed in Canada, anything is possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just got this gut feeling he's going to retire as world champion. I really do believe that. Yeah. And I don't think he's going to retire as a heel leader.
Cena never made waves like Bret did. Cena never fought back like Bret did. I think you can't even compare it, because Cena was a bitch his whole career. Like, it's not comparable to Bret. Bret was never that guy, right. So even if when he was kind of the man for WWE, he was never like Cena, who was the absolute bitch boy.
And if they retire that title, like how he said, that kind of retires the legacy of that title, and then they'd have to start all over again.
Right.
Which I think is kind of what they're doing. I think that's kind of their game plan, which honestly, I'm fine with to one degree, because I hate it being called the undisputed fucking title. Like, I get it. It was fused together from two other titles. Just call it the Universal title. That's what the fuck it is. I hate it being called undisputed. It's constantly disputed. Like,
Yeah.
it's constantly disputed. But if they with doing that, that just kind of seals the deal of them just being like, of TKO being like, all right, this is our WWE now, full and through. We've gotten rid of all the leftovers. You know, we gotten rid of all the leftover titles from when it was Vince. You know, now it's just ours. Kind of seems like what they're doing.
It kind of does, but I mean, they shouldn't, because legacy and it's nothing, because of every
Yeah,
reason why they should.
that's the whole fucked up part of it, is that if they do plan on doing that, I mean, that's the same title to a degree that Bruno Sammartino had. You know, all these greats. The legacy of that belt goes back that long, and I get it for a heel degree, I guess, for what they're trying to do right now, but they can't fulfill that. They just can't, because that's fucked up. But they just might. So
Well, our viewer has another comment about what we're saying right now. He says, which is why I think Cena loses it before he retires, because at the end of the day, no man's character wise is bigger than the industry. Storyline wise, he will retire as a babyface again. You guys agree?
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah.
yeah.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. You better. That's it.
But you know, even but like creatively, like luckily, there are certain things, like I like the whole Seth Rollins thing going on, the new Dangerous Alliance,
I
whatever the fuck
love
you
it.
want to
I
call
love
it.
it. I love it.
Yeah, that part I like, but you know, then there's just a lot of other stuff just kind of lost in the shuffle right now. And I guess until Money in the Bank, I don't know. It's just there's a lot of stuff that they promised they were gonna do, then they don't do it, and it just seems one thing leads to another.
No, but they released this something this morning. They said the last time like WWE was like going downwards, Seth Rollins, they was trying to make him the face. Now we go so many years later, they trying to make him the face again, and it's going downhill. So maybe I think he's the guy. I think he could be the guy, but
Yeah,
maybe people still used to seeing or Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns. You need that guy. You need like a face of wrestling. And right
yeah,
now, the face of wrestling right now is John Cena. I hate to say it, until otherwise, he is the face of wrestling. So that belt is going to stay on him until he retires.
yep, and fuck him.
Yeah, yeah. Do I agree with the outcome of his matches and stuff? Absolutely not. I just think the way they booking it, hitting
Yeah,
somebody with a fucking belt, they chart like, come on, man, like it's not it's not good. It's not
mm-mm.
good. The way you remember when Hogan turned heel, they made
Yeah,
him such a pussy. He should have came out there, whooped everybody ass. That was it. John Cena is going that route. He's turned a pussy. He shouldn't be that way.
yeah, yeah. At least that's and Kevin Nash had even brought it up, why he doesn't understand the comparison of the heels turn in that fact, because
That
they're so
who
different.
who whoever made that kind of comparison don't know shit about wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know shit about wrestling. They don't know shit about wrestling. Even say some dumb shit like that. I just would have ignored it. Like, why would you even make a? If they put that on Facebook, that shit should have been banned. Like, come on, that's
Yeah,
how stupid it is.
and 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 just with I just don't get what they're doing.
Yeah. And what's the
They do
fluctuation? And what's
either.
the thing with The Rock and Cody Rhodes' mother? Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
Tell Mama Rose I said hello.
Yeah, that's so
What the fuck is
weird.
going on?
I went back to see like maybe if there's a joke between Dusty Rhodes and like anywhere.
No, it's no
No,
joke.
there's no history. There's just that's some random shit, and I'm like, what's supposed to be funny? Because I think it missed the mark or every mark. I don't know. Like,
Keep on bringing up the man's mother. Like what the fuck? You got a thing for her or something, homeboy? Like what the fuck going on?
might, you know, she part Cuban, so. And such random shit. What's going on with Travis Scott?
Oh God.
Why?
Nah, you know what? When he popped Cody Rhodes' eardrum, excuse me, that should have been it. That should have been it. That should have been it. Coming back to being a part of WWE, that should have been it. You
Yeah.
can't fuck with the franchise like that. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
And,
like. Why was he there to begin with? Obviously, no one trained him to do shit. Like, why is he still there? Come, what? Who is
Yeah.
but
this
you
devil?
you again, but you got to blame TKO because they want that Hollywood. They want that Hollywood thing. You know what I'm saying? When Vince
Yeah.
was doing it, it was a lot more strategic. It was a lot more planned. It was a lot more better storyline, better storytelling. This shit, I don't know what the hell they doing with this.
I
Remember
don't
Yeah.
when
think
Tyson
they.
was part of WWE? It was a creative storyline. With this shit with Travis Scott, it doesn't make no sense whatsoever.
No.
Nope.
And thank fucking God that WrestleMania season is over, so we don't
Yeah.
have to hear that fucking awful Fiend song. Fucking oh
beep,
my
beep,
God.
beep, doop, beep.
Who
Fuck
did that
that
to?
song.
Because I
Oh.
tell
Yeah, I
you,
like Travis Scott
Oh.
though, man. I like Travis Scott, but that song is annoying.
Fuck it, like that as a
I just
musician, I'm a singer songwriter myself, and when they come up with some dumb shit like that, like hold on, y'all. Look, I'm gonna say one word, I'm gonna auto-tune that shit, and then guess what? I'm gonna write it out and I'm gonna put an exclamation point in there instead of a fucking I. What are you gonna say, fiend? What's it mean? I don't know.
I
Fiend.
mean, I'm just mad about they redid a whole bunch of songs and they made them horrendous too. Like, how do you guys redo a song you're supposed to make better, make them bad? Who is back there making these choices? Who's choosing these things? Everything. Everything. The fact that everyone's doing the goddamn spear, everyone's a heel right now. Like
Yeah,
everything.
there are no real heroes left. Like
I mean,
Nah.
is TKO really just being like everybody's a bad guy? Let's do that this week. Is that what's going
Yeah.
on?
yeah,
That is going really.
got poor
It's
got poor
not
Kira
it's not the
Tozawa coming
same.
out and getting beaten up by fucking Rusev. Like
Right.
goddamn. Kira Tozawa, our last hope.
Rusev in general, like the fuck.
Yeah,
So
the creative direction, it's not making too sense. You know what happened to another company when their creative direction didn't make too much sense? They went down and got bought out by WWE. That's my segue into us talking about WCW
Oh, that's a good one.
now.
So
Because they definitely
who was
lack
the
creative direction.
yeah, so who was the downfall of WCW? Let's start.
what
Let's
was the
start with
downfall?
yeah, who was the
I
down?
feel like it was like killing Caesar. Like just everybody had a fucking
Everyone
part in
got
it.
turned.
You
Exactly.
know?
Everyone took a knife.
Yeah.
You know what? I got four names. The one person I'm gonna leave off the list, you're gonna be shocked as hell. That's all I'm gonna say. So,
All right.
but
I'm gonna start with Ted Turner. I'm gonna say Ted Turner, the first person to took a knife and stab
Yeah.
WCW. He
okay,
got
Yeah.
way too big for riches. He didn't understand the change in times. He was relying on people he shouldn't rely
Yeah.
on. He should
And
have got, he should pay attention. Someone that been in business as long as that motherfucker was, I don't know why he did all that. Like,
right.
you see the change thing. Like this. He's the first knife into the company.
he
Definitely.
killed the territory system along with Vince.
And
Like
that was part of, him putting a knife to the fuck. Because when he did that, he damned his own company. He didn't even
yeah.
realize it because he wasn't paying
Yeah,
attention.
yeah, because that's crazy. Like WCW, it was never allowed in Madison Square Garden. Like they had to go in the Nassau Coliseum for like Monday Nitro or Buffalo or Albany. But Vince knew what he was doing with that.
Uh-huh.
Because I mean, and if Ted Turner was paying attention, he would think, "Hey, this is evenly distributing these two major, and these became the two major wrestling, companies right now, and they're evenly distributed right now. Maybe it should stay the same." But no, he didn't even think that.
Nope.
I guess being a millionaire doesn't make you smart.
Nope. They wanted to go to war.
Oh, speaking of war, remember that Monday Night Raw with DX trying to go to the Norfolk Scope?
Yeah. Yeah. And Eric Bischoff claims to that he didn't know that they were there, otherwise he would have let him in, and I call bullshit on that.
Yeah.
Eric's known to lie.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. You fucking knew. They had fans cheering outside for him and shit like that. You knew. That's another thing there too, is that the war and the lack of collaboration led to the downfall too. Because if you look at ECW knew to collab, and guess who they didn't collaborate with? WCW. Not until that bullshit invasion angle. Otherwise, they were taking all the leftovers from WCW and being like, hey, how about we give you a good creative direction? Mick Foley, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Sorry.
Let's go ahead and give two of the biggest fucking names in the business, to Vince. Why? Because Ted Turner doesn't know how to fucking play well with others. And that was the whole point.
He didn't know how to develop his characters or their personas.
No.
He didn't know when change was happening either. Again, because and he had things like Oz. He could have been okay if he didn't have the green shiny things and the stupid, little spiels and stuff like that. He could have made really good characters.
I am Oz the Great.
No, it's the 1980s. What are you doing? It's crazy. They're just so yeah. That's why I say Ted Turner was the first one. He didn't recognize his products or how to use it, how to distribute. I don't know if he had anybody on his team.
And then he sold it. Then he sold it.
He had to. He had to sell it. He was losing money.
Yeah.
So,
after he lost the Monday Night Wars, there was nothing left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, he sold it before the end of the wars. I thought he sold it to AOL Time Warner.
Nah, I think he didn't. He owned Time Warner. Didn't
he? He owned Time Warner.
Yeah, he owned it, but then he sold to AOL, and that's when they did that merger.
Yeah. I don't even think nobody still uses America Online.
Fuck no.
America Online email.
Yeah, I don't use that no more.
I mean, there's no well, it used to be a platform browser. That's been going for decades. I think.
Oh, it's something crazy when I was watching the Raw earlier from January 4th, 1999, had commercials and cutouts for 10-10-220. Where you do that and you pay $1 and you get 20 minutes on the phone.
Right.
And George Carlin had a commercial for that. Now I got to try to find that commercial because I'm a big George Carlin fan. And I totally forgot about that. But yeah, products change, times change.
And he had to with him. He didn't make a business decision. He wasn't flexible in mind, and he had other people working with him that were shit.
That didn't care or didn't care or know about the problem, any of the problems at all with it, or didn't even care to deal with it. When I was listening to Cornette earlier, he was talking about the one guy that he was like a TV producer for him, and how he said he didn't want to work with him because he was afraid it would ruin his career working as a producer for wrestling. And that was one of Ted Turner's guys that he's like, go down there, do the wrestling shit.
Right.
Yeah, that's basically like, if you don't know something about an industry, you can't just be like, I'm gonna do this because I'm rich. and run it into the ground. Like you still have to find people who know the industry to help you, or at least read a book or something,
Yeah.
get some sort of knowledge about what you're doing. But he didn't. Shit. At one point, he could have asked Vince McMahon himself. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
so
A
yeah.
certain Tony Khan is doing kind of the same thing. only that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, Tony
That would
Khan
be
is
a
a joke.
discussion.
Yeah.
AEW is a joke.
Yeah. But
Only good thing about AEW is Tony Schiavone. That's it. And JR. That's it. Other than that, I don't even
Taz
watch it.
too.
Yeah, Taz. Yeah, Taz is good.
Yeah, insipid Taz commentary is like my favorite part of Botchamania.
Also, you brought up JR. I was reading JR went through his cancer surgery earlier and he got out.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, he got out.
yep. So shout out to JR. Everybody here wishes you the best for the Reading
The
Wrestling
greatest
podcast.
commentator ever.
Son of a bitch.
Bang! Son of a bitch!
So who else you got for Who Killed WCW?
I could go on talking, but one of you guys should take on and say what else.
Well, I'm gonna go on record and say this. I'm not, to me, obviously, Ted Turner is number one. Some of his contract negotiation was ridiculous.
They were shit. Yep.
Signing people to these ridiculous contracts where they own the rights to their character. Eric Bischoff, obviously, him caving in. He was too much worried about Vince. He wasn't thinking about his own product. Now, it was some good stuff. I'm not gonna lie. To me, he oversaw the greatest stable ever, which was the NWO, hands down. But that kind of got tiring after a while because anybody that left WWF was in the NWO. That's all it was. And I think they had to have a segment that asked Scott Hall, "Oh, did you work in WWF?" Obviously, he gonna say no because that was part of the storyline. Number three, I'm gonna say Vince Russo. He came over in '99. His storytelling was terrible. It was trash. Even though we don't like Hogan, that was kind of fucked up what he did to Hogan at
He
SummerSlam.
put the belt on himself.
Yeah, Bash at the Beach.
Belt on himself.
Yeah, at Bash at the Beach when he called. That was fucked up.
One of Eric Bischoff's issue also is he wanted to be a character more than he wanted to fucking do his job properly.
No, but Vince Russo was worse.
Vince Russo too. But I wanted to
what the fuck? Come on, you come into the ring. You come into the ring with the New York Jersey Giants equipment on. Like, what are you doing, bro? It makes no sense.
Vince Russo was absolute trash. Still,
he was terrible. He was terrible. And
let's put the belt on David Arquette.
Yeah, that was a travesty, man. Then I think it was something where they had that faction called the New Blood, when the blood was supposed to fall on Scott Hall and it missed him. That was that was all Vince Russo thing. Number four, obviously, you're gonna have to say Vince McMahon. He buried WCW.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said before, Eric
be competition. So
he used understand that's your competition, but he was too worried about Vince. So Vince used everything against Eric Bischoff and destroyed WCW. But one person I left off is Hogan. I don't think he had anything to do with the demise of WCW. And the reason I say that is because if you listen to the top, we both had the same person, Eric, Ted Turner. His lawyers negotiated a great contract, So how can you blame Hogan if he's just following what his contract said?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's like me. Let me finish. That's like me if I come to work tomorrow, right? I go to my HR business partner and say, hey, you know what? I want to renegotiate my contract and I want all Sundays off, right? The store manager does my schedule. He scheduled me one Sunday. You know what? I start bitching, moaning, do what the hell I want to do. That's not my fault. That's in my. I'm just following my contract in. So how can you blame Hogan if he's just following what was negotiated in his contract? You can't
He
blame
didn't
him
have
for
a
that.
partner, right?
Well,
Before
because he made
contract?
the decision.
Who?
He made the decision.
All right, but no. Who approved the contract? It was Ted
Yeah, Turner.
Turner. He
Yeah.
didn't have to approve that contract.
No.
He didn't have to approve that contract. So how was you blaming him if Ted Turner approved that contract? You
Yeah.
can't blame
Because
him for that.
wrestling
He let a
depends on
wild dog off the leash.
each other. Wrestlers
Go ahead.
depend on trusting
Go
each
ahead.
other and working together. And if he wasn't doing that, he wasn't acting right. He wasn't.
Who?
Hulk Hogan. Like,
Okay, but
literally,
Laniya,
the whole,
if
working
Ted
together.
Turner, hold up, if Ted Turner approved that contract for him, how is Hogan liable for that? That he always had the title. Ted Turner was the one that approved that contract for him,
Here's
and
the thing,
Eric
though.
Bischoff's
It
job
doesn't
was
matter
to follow. No, it does matter if that was the contract that he agreed to.
if Hulk Hogan had any honor, he would have used that to help pull other guys up. He could have the title. That was a contract. He could get title wherever he wanted, right? So he already knew that. Why didn't he use that same energy to pull other guys up? Because
He did put some people over. He did.
Not enough. That's my thing. If you have all that control and you can do anything, you should do more.
I agree, but what I'm saying is that you cannot put him as the downfall of WCW if that was already in his contract. You can't blame you can't put him as the reason. You can't put him as one of the reasons.
Another reason why I put him as a reason, because he put himself in NWO. He should never put himself in NWO. He should have never done that. That faction would have lasted.
His career was going nowhere. Without the NWO, his career would go nowhere.
Whoa. So if it wasn't Hulk, but that was a part of the storyline. Sting was never in WWF. So you had to put Hogan in there. That was part of the storyline.
Hogan never had to be in NWO. He could have been in WCW, not NWO.
But what I'm saying is that if that was part of the storyline, WC evasion plot, Hogan had to really be in NWO. Who you was gonna put? Nacho Man Randy Savage? God rest his soul. Who you was gonna put in? Sting? Who?
I mean,
Ric Flair?
It was originally
supposed
supposed to be Sting, but they changed it. They Hogan said no for a couple weeks, and then finally caved in on the day.
Yeah, you cannot blame him for the downfall if he's following what his contract states. And the fact is, I think he did a good job as the stable of the NWO, as the lead, as the ringleader, pretty much. You can't take that away from him. You can't take that away from him. And I'm not a Hogan fan whatsoever, but I'm gonna speak facts. You can't blame him for that if he's following what his contract said. If they put that he owns 100% of his character, boom, that's it. That's it. Ted Turner should have never approved that contract in the first place.
And
so shame on him. He's following what his contract states.
And that contract,
his contract states. Boom.
That contract didn't come up until after the NWO too.
Yeah.
They renegotiated the contract because Scott Hall got into Hogan's ear and told him, "Look how much money I got. Look how much money you're getting. You can get way fucking more."
Exactly. But like I said, who's approving the contract?
Mm-hmm. And then Ted Turner fucking negotiated and gave him free reign.
He gave too much power to Hogan. That's what he did. And Hogan was like, I'm gonna get a one or more events, and it backfired. But you can't sit there and say you put him as the reason. Yeah,
he's one of the reasons.
Like a percentage. He wasn't the main cause of the problem. He played the percentage.
My first one was Ted Turner. There's different pieces. Like he said, it's like Caesar. Everybody got a knife.
Bash at the beach, finger poke of doom. Like there's plenty that he himself booked and abused with that fucking contract. The night in question, January 4th, 1999.
Fucking, I agree with what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that he's following what's on his contract. Now, do I think it's fucked up that he abused it? Absolutely. I'm not gonna go on the podcast and say
that's what he did. The abuse of his contract led to the downfall.
He abused it.
Yeah, and his abuse of that
contract. He abused the contract.
Yeah, that led to that helped lead to the downfall for sure.
Yeah, how
That
our
night,
downfall.
Yeah,
that
yeah. So
night,
you can't sit there and say Hogan if he just followed what his contract allowed him to do. That's why I said
But he had
Turner
part
and
in writing
Eric
his
Bischoff is the
contract.
man.
It's not like someone else
Who?
wrote the contract. Like
Huh?
he had a part in,
What
he had
happened?
a big part in writing his contract. So it's not even like someone else wrote it. Like
All
if he
right,
wrote
but
whatever,
we all right. So we go to the offer table for our job and say I'm on X, Y, and Z. If they approve the contract and I'm not worth that amount, why is I'm getting blamed? They approved the contract. I didn't.
I mean, again, he's just another piece to how it fell apart.
yeah,
I just think he's a percentage. I don't think he's the main issue.
No,
I don't think
I
he's the
never was the
Brutus.
first part that
If we're looking at this
He
like
wasn't.
Caesar getting stabbed and stuff,
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
it's
not
not
E
him.
two Brute.
to
He's not E
me,
two Brute. He's
like
not
to me,
Brutus.
like the overall body of WCW two. We talk about the wrestlers. The commentating team was terrible too. After Bobby the Brain Heaton, God rest his soul. Who's this guy? Mark Madden. He was terrible.
Oh
He
yeah,
was terrible. He was
oh yeah,
terrible. You know
awful.
what I'm saying? You had Scott Hudson. He was good. You had Tony Schiavone's the GOAT. But
Mhm.
you have to have a good announce team for the product to be related to the consumer.
Yeah,
And
and they fucked
when they
over
put
Bobby.
Mark Madden on there, that was terrible. That was straight up
Absolutely
terrible. That
agree.
made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, and they fucked over Bobby.
Yeah, they
Oh
made
yeah,
Poor
him.
yeah.
poor Bobby the Brain Heenan got fucked over by
Bobby made it
WWE and
funny.
WCW.
Bobby the Brain Heated, God rest his soul. He made it so funny, man. Like
Oh,
he
he's
sold
the
it real
best,
good.
He was.
You remember that Raw episode with
best heel
Scott Hall and Carol
commentator of
Nash?
all time.
They threw Rey Mysterio in the trailer. And he
Yeah,
go to Eric Bischoff. He was like, Eric, I'm not gonna do the show tonight until I get some security. You better give me some security. I just started rolling. I lost my shit. I was like, oh my god.
yeah. He's the greatest heel commentator of all
So
time.
yes, he sold it good, man. He sold it good,
Yeah.
man. Every time somebody, the funniest Bobby the Brain eating moment was with Scott Hall. No, what's this guy name? The Dream joined NWO. I started rolling, man. I started rolling. How he was just going in. Oh,
I'm the NWO now, baby.
man. The greatest stable ever. And
NWO for life, sugar.
yeah, but other than that, I mean, I just think those is the factors of WCW. I just think, and the whole, I kind of wish, because I think every Bischoff wanted to buy it back, and I guess they declined
He,
it. AOL, they wanted to
yeah,
buy it.
yeah, and they didn't respond back in time, and then it went up for like what 10 million, something
Yeah,
like that, 10 or
yeah.
12 million, I
And
think.
you know what's so crazy? Yo, me and my friends, we joke about this all the time. Vince got sued for more stuff than when he paid for WCW.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? How inflation. That's what freaking inflation is.
Yeah,
He got sued for more.
it's his
That's
best
crazy.
acquisition of all time.
Oh my god.
And it's
Yo,
cheap now compared to everything else.
he
Yeah,
bought he bought WCW for $3 million, I think. Oh my god.
yeah. Oh, that's the thing is second to that. He and I think they're only short by a couple million. Is what he paid for Stu Hart's territory.
Yeah, like that's great. Vince
Like he
probably
paid.
paid that. Yeah, he probably charged his credit card to buy WCW, bro. Like that.
Black
He probably
card.
charged his card. Like, yo, he was like, yo, Linda, give me the black card. I'm gonna buy WCW,
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I remember watching. I remember watching that the simulcast, man. The
Yeah,
simulcast that it just right there because you typically WCW would be on at 7:55. Monday Nitro would be on at 7:55. I had it
right.
on there, and then I started flipping back between that and USA. Just be like, holy shit!
Yeah, that was some of the best times, man.
Yeah, it's happened. Which big shout out to Wrestling Bios. If you don't watch Wrestling Bios, the Reliving the War Saga. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Like, you want to talk about a nerd when it comes to wrestling. Wrestling Bios has got it. And he has done he's not done yet. I still think it's got like another year, but he's been doing the entire war, from very first Monday Nitro on, and is just recounting all of it. And
I'll check it out right after.
Boy, you learn so much. You can learn so much from him. He's the best when it comes to anything wrestling online. Wrestling Bios, for sure. And I guess one of my I would say I had a list of different things that I had going on here.
List.
Of like different certain events that were definitely a part of it, a part of the downfall.
Let's listen to that.
Yeah. Starrcade 97. Starrcade 97.
I just watched that the other day, and absolutely.
What a fucking shit show. Like, just
I'm surprised it had 1999, honestly, and like still after like every time I watch 97, I'm just like, why did they have anything after this? Why
yeah, just the whole outcome of that match, just terrible. Terrible booking.
It's terrible.
The way that they ended the streak, Goldberg's streak of just a taser.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Oh man! Also, just not only the way that they ended it, but then the follow up being the finger poke of doom. And Nash booked this. Like, he was the head booker at the time, and he booked himself to beat Goldberg with Scott Hall at a taser, and then not even a week later, a couple days later, have Hogan do the finger poke of doom. It's so.
Two things to get from that. One, he didn't like Hogan, and two, he's ghetto as fuck, and that's all I got.
Who didn't like Hogan? Kevin Nash?
Nash. I've seen the way he booked it. The way he booked it.
The way he booked it, he did it for just fun. Like, I watch his podcast too, and he said, was the finger poke of doom the wisest idea? Yeah, probably not, but I did it.
Yeah, you can tell he was just having fun because they gave him any fucking type of
giving him good money.
What the fuck I want? I'm a grown-ass child.
Yeah.
I would too, though. What would you do? I fucking.
Yeah. The Radicals. The Radicals going over to WWF. Yeah, just that whole situation. Kevin Sullivan, he's on my list of people that killed WCW, because right there.
That's a good one. Yeah, I forgot about Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, right. Like, that's a good one.
Yeah. Kevin Sullivan, you drive out four of your top talent right there, and it's because that one top talent is now married to your ex-wife.
Hater.
And that's the thing is, I've heard them talk about how bad he buried them, is that they would only win matches if it was a televised show. Otherwise, when they were on the road, they were constantly losing. And that's because of Sullivan's booking. And Sullivan at multiple times threatened to kill Chris Benoit. And just all in all, just terrible decisions. Also, Kevin Sullivan was a terrible wrestler, and he had terrible terrible gimmicks, and he booked during a lot of terrible periods with a lot of terrible matches. Fuck that guy. Um, uh, but the Radicals, to the point that they're like, look, we'll put the world heavyweight title on Chris. Like, please stay. And they're like, no, we'll win it. We'll win every single match that night, and then we're going to leave immediately. Badass. Badass. Okay, let's win the world titles and leave.
I mean, that's what I would do. It sounds good to me.
And yeah, and then they end up going on to all have really great careers over in WWF. That what a great loss. Another big event, the Great Reset, April 10th of 2000, when Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo tag team together to reset the entire brand, strip everybody of their titles, set up tournaments, everything like that, to change up the labels, everything. Just the complete reset of everything. And that's where that New Blood and the like millionaires or like club and all that started. And what terrible booking just came out of that. David Arquette winning the world title, definitely a big, terrible event. And that's not to knock David Arquette. I like that guy. He donated all the money that he made during that time to families who had lost wrestlers. I think namely Owen Hart's family was one of them. But just to have a movie that gets mashed into that, like, and to just be okay with that. Just what kind of booking decision is that? We're going to put this on this Hollywood guy that blatantly can't fucking wrestle. In fact, we just made a movie about how he can't wrestle.
Yeah, I just
Bash at the Beach 2000, definitely. That whole debacle of just calling each other out in 3 promos and then a laydown and like, what in the fuck? And doing this all live on pay-per-view on top of that was wild.
Yeah,
that was wild.
Then he tried to say that was part of the script. I was like, no, I don't think so.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
That shit wasn't part of the script. That's what he said. I said that shit was
That's exactly what they
like. I'm not. Listen, I'm not a fan of Hogan, but I don't think he deserved that. That wasn't cool at all.
Yeah. That's why he said, this is why this business is going down the toilet.
Yeah.
He should have said WCW because that'd be more correct.
Yeah. But but my favorite night of all of wrestling, it's January 4th, 1999, when the wonderful Tony Schiavone, God love him, goes off and says, folks, if you're gonna tune away now, don't, because we are made aware that Mick Foley, who used to wrestle here as Cactus Jack, wrestles there as Mankind, is going to win the world title. Yeah, that'll put some butts in some seats.
Shit backfired.
And right when he said that, I remember that. That's why this is my favorite night of wrestling, because I specifically remember being one of the over 600,000 people that immediately tuned off of WCW to go watch WWF Monday Night Raw. And that's the thing, is this night also, not only is it just great for what ends up happening of Mick Foley winning, but just card to card, you have this night, the night Mick Foley won, you had every single major person from the Attitude Era in a match that night or a part of the whole gig. You had all of Generation X. You had Shawn Michaels. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Ken Shamrock, and Steve Blackman did a banger match to open up the night. Did I get disconnected? Or he got disconnected?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. But Steve Blackman and Ken Shamrock had a banger match. Edge and D'Lo Brown had a really great match. Goldust and Mark Henry had a banger match. Just the whole night just showcased all of like everything that was great about the Attitude Era and great about that time. And then on WCW, you have a bunch of shit matches on top of the fucking finger poke of doom. Now they did. Ric Flair and Sid Vicious did wrestle a pretty decent match.
It's quasi decent.
Yeah, but the fact that we all tuned off, we all tuned out, tuned on to WWE, and only about 150,000 came back. Only about 150,000 came back over. Getting your technicalities worked out.
Yeah, it's fixed now.
It happens.
Yeah. Saw me earlier. I had to switch to my phone.
I have my phone connected next to my laptop. It's all connected to the wall in separate plugs and not. Like, I need them totally separate outlets from each other because they don't work. It's weird. Yeah, I understand technical difficulties. It happens.
Yeah, that's crazy. WCW.
Oh man. So
but,
you guys didn't cover all the pieces of what killed WCW.
I mean, there's probably still a lot more. Like,
yeah,
those last 3 years, like basically, like that's another thing too. Is from that night, from that single night, they never recovered in ratings, but 2 other times, in the Monday Night Wars, and both of those times were when Raw was off.
I mean, they also didn't utilize the wrestlers properly, like Booker T and stuff like that. There's so many wrongs with WCW,
Oh, Booker T, yeah. Booker T's he's someone that he was underutilized there. But they didn't. Obviously, they didn't see it till the end. Because he only got the championship, twice over there. He was the last WCW champion.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was the last. Yeah, because I think the first time he won, he beat Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jeff Jarrett, I like him. One of my favorite wrestlers.
Well, Jeff's got his ways, man. He's been around forever. Forever. And he's
that's crazy. He's the same age as Triple H. That's crazy. And he's been around it's like he seems like he's been around forever.
Yeah.
Because his dad paid for him to get in there, so he was everywhere. Like Triple H had to work to be, and Triple H actually did put in work, No matter what you say about
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just and Triple H, he was never one of my favorite wrestlers, but he was someone that I've always tolerated. And if anything, I'm more like his nerdum into shit. Like I didn't realize how big of a nerd he really was about wrestling until digging into him more.
Right.
And I respect that about him. But he also lets that get to his creative ends at times. Like I can always tell a Triple H produced match because of how slow it is.
how slow it is, like the little like intricate, ridiculous things that don't need to be there, but they're
Yeah,
there and they're very like prevalent. Yeah, you can always tell when he has his hand and stuff because you can
yeah.
like you trace it back to like a Attitude Era match or something. He
And
does.
beyond that, I mean, John Cena and Solo Sikoa, if they wrestled that same match in 1987, probably people would be talking about it. It was slow, methodical match. It's like, sorry, bro, this is 2023.
Now it's just too slow. Hurry up.
We don't
What are
want to
you
go
doing?
too slow now. But that's also kind of why I'm disappointed in the lack of creative direction with certain people. Just the fact that Logan Paul was Jey Uso's first opponent shows very little faith to me.
They just gave him the necessary push because for whatever effing reason.
Yeah, and you have how many heels working on there, and now granted, part of my apprehension, I feel we got spoiled with Seth's first title reign of him being that inaugural heavyweight champion. That was like one of the best title runs. He wrestled match after match after match, week after week after week. And then would put on banger shows at the PLEs, and him and Shinsuke Nakamura. That was one of the best matches of 2024, or 2023, or is it 2024? I'm losing years. Yeah, it was 2023. But since then, like Gunther, yeah, I was glad that Gunther got the title, but they just had him in just bullshit squash matches. Just making fun of his title reign, basically. And it's because there was no good baby faces to go off and try to face him other than Jay eventually. But still, they toyed around with that for like 2 months.
There's no baby faces or the heel right now.
I don't think Jay Uso had like the correct push.
No.
Because for him he like I said, he won he run the World Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, you supposed to main event a WrestleMania. He didn't.
I know.
So
that
I don't think he's not really that big name. It's like they just I'm tired of this person. I'm tired of this person. That person. They just made him the world champ. That was it. And that's not to take nothing away from him, but
it's absolutely like, again, like the people that put in work, they just keep skipping them over and not recognizing them.
Yeah.
The fact that it was the opening match. It was the opening match of day one.
Yeah, that was a travesty.
Opening match of day one.
That was a travesty.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing is, outside of that one defense, name like they didn't even have AJ Styles go up against Gunther.
Right.
Like Gunther faced nobody when in his title reign. He faced Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. And he lost that.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes, man.
Too much. I didn't like it.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've have way too many bad guys, and are just pulling out like too many heels. You can't just you can't just hate the entire roster.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's coming to the point where it's dried up.
Yeah, I mean we had New Day and the Creed brothers and War Raiders and a triple tag match for the tag team titles. And that match, I just knew right from the get-go. I'm like, well, they're not going to lose.
Yep.
They're not going to lose. The War Raiders are not going to win this back in a triple threat match. And of course they didn't, and they made it like to where the Creeds and New Day were teaming up on them. And it was like, this is pretty pointless. And that's where some of my apprehensions lie. Like the best like singles run that's been going on really the last couple months is Lyra Valkyria. She's been the only working champion. Otherwise, they've been trading off the tag titles left and right. Chelsea Green only defended her U.S. title like 3 times. Yeah, whereas Lyra, she's like, well, I seem to be the only good person around here, so go ahead, throw all the women at me. Because they're all bad girls.
Right. No, it's just, it's, at this point, it's, WWE is just predictable now. Like if you looked at Saturday night's main event, who in the hell thought R-Truth was going to be John Cena? Like that's just, let's call it what it is.
You
that
cut
was
out
the
there.
joke,
I couldn't hear you.
So who would have thought?
Like,
I just think with the book, and they need to get better.
Yeah.
You hear
Definitely.
me? No. So I'm just saying with the booking, it's terrible now because who would have? It's predictable because we all knew John Cena was going to be R-Truth. Who didn't? Like it's starting to become predictable now.
That was Ron Cena. R-Truth did not lose. That was Ron Cena.
No, John Cena Jr. That's Junior. That's Junior. So that to me, that was it's becoming more predictable. At WrestleMania, we all knew John Cena was going to win the championship.
Yeah.
So it's becoming more predictable, and that's why I'm kind of thinking that Vince is in the background, like, you know what, I need to get my shit back because it's all over the fucking place. It's all over the place.
And just creatively, too, I think if Cena would have stayed face, and we would have gotten a genuine good match that he won, and Cody would just be like, okay, let me take a break a little bit and then come back for him. And then John could have faced against the 900 bad guys that are on there. But like now it's jokes who he's facing.
Yeah, only roller pony he had was Randy Orton. That was it.
And that wasn't even their best
And
match.
Randy Orton, he's an in-betweener. Yeah, he's an in-betweener.
That wasn't even their best match.
I think he's more of a fucking heel, to be honest, than a good guy. So.
Yeah.
Just because he's Randy Orton, honestly.
Yeah. I love Randy.
Huh?
I think it's a permanent heel.
Yeah, Randy gonna get the title again. I just don't know when. Huh?
What?
What'd you say?
I said Randy Orton is a permanent heel just because he's Randy Orton. That's just how it is.
Yeah. It's like Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. He said
Stone Cold wasn't no face. He was always a fucking heel. We just like the shit that he was doing.
Yep.
Spraying people with fucking beer and shit. Like,
And
but
milk.
The person who, that milk. But speaking of beer, like the person that, speaking of the Hall of Fame, the person that's handing the beer to Stone Cold, that person should be in the Hall of Fame.
I couldn't hear what you just said.
Like who throws the beer in the ring to him? No, speaking of people in the Hall of Fame, the person that's always throwing the beer to Austin, they should be in the Hall of Fame because they never it never hit the mat. It's always handing in Stone Cold's hand. That person should be in the Hall of Fame. I want to shake his or her hand, whoever's doing it. Yeah.
For real. Yeah, so much. And they also got rid of like all the factions. Like there was a steady like stream there of like a lot of factions going on, which was kind of cool. And now it's just Judgment Day. Like that's it.
All the time. All the time.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah, it's really no more stables. No more stables.
Yeah. And well, because they're not working out because they don't throw anything creative into it. Like, yeah, and now it's, I mean, we got Carlito just like playing video games and saying the dumbest thing possible.
Well,
yeah,
everyone, we're coming to an ending now.
Yeah.
Hope everyone
Poor
enjoyed
Carlito.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna end on Carlito because
Nah, that's fun.
hope you enjoyed your time here today, Willie.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely had some fun. Nice meeting both of you. Had some fun.
Nice meeting you also. Hope you'll come back for further discussions. Would be awesome.
Yes, please.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm definitely come back. As long as y'all give me the invite, I'll be here.
Excellent.
Definitely. All right. Well, good night. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Subscribe and share.
Bye-bye.
Like, share, subscribe.
Bye.
Share.